The notice said I had 30 days to leave my own home. Not a warning, not a misunderstanding, an eviction filed by my HOA. And the worst part? They were completely confident they could win. They didn't hesitate, didn't question it, didn't even consider they might be wrong. The problem? They never read my contract. I stood there at my front door, holding the envelope in my hand, reading it again, then again, just to make sure I wasn't missing something. Failure to vacate the property will result in further legal action. The words felt heavier the second time, not because I believed them, but because I understood what they meant. This wasn't just another letter. This wasn't a warning that would disappear if ignored. This was a process, one that could move forward, whether they had authority or not. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't going to fix itself. I bought the property about a year earlier. At first glance, it looked like it belonged to the neighborhood. Same road, same general layout, same quiet suburban feel. But it wasn't the same, because my property sat at the edge of everything, right where the uniform rows of houses stopped. And the land stretched just a little further than planned. Most of the homes in that area were part of a homeowners association, a very structured one, rules about landscaping, parking, exterior colors, everything controlled, everything consistent. Mine wasn't, because my property didn't come from the same development. It existed before the HOA, before the streets were paved, before the houses were built, before the rules were written. Years ago, the entire area had been part of a large private estate. When developers eventually bought the land, they divided it into sections. Carefully planned, carefully organized, carefully controlled, but one parcel remained separate. One piece of land that was never folded into the system. That parcel became my property, legally distinct, individually recorded, never included in the HOA, no shared agreements, no governing authority, nothing tying it to them. And this wasn't something I assumed. It wasn't a guess. It was clearly written in the contract I signed when I bought the place, highlighted, verified, confirmed. Even the real estate agent made sure I understood. "You're surrounded by HOA," he told me, "but you're not part of it." At the time, it sounded like a benefit, freedom, flexibility, control over my own property. What I didn't realize was that someone inside that HOA would see it differently. The first letter came about a month after I moved in. It was simple, polite, a reminder about landscaping guidelines. I read it once, looked at my yard, and immediately understood the issue. Not that something was wrong, but that the letter wasn't meant for me, so I ignored it. A few days later, another one arrived, more formal, referencing community standards, encouraging compliance. That's when I realized they thought I was part of them. Still, I didn't respond. I figured someone would check the records, see the mistake, correct it, move on, but that didn't happen. Instead, the letters kept coming, each one slightly more direct, slightly more persistent, until one afternoon, I finally met her. Elaine Mercer, HOA president. She didn't introduce herself, didn't ask if she could speak with me. She just walked onto my property like she already belonged there. "We've sent you multiple notices," she said. "I got them," I replied calmly. "Then you understand the situation." "I understand that they don't apply to me." She smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't come from amusement, but from certainty. "Everyone in this neighborhood is part of the HOA." "No," I said, "I'm not." There was a pause. Not long, but noticeable. Then she nodded slightly. "We'll verify that." And just like that, she turned and walked away. That moment should have resolved everything, but instead, it triggered something else. After that conversation, the tone changed. The letters stopped being polite. They became official. Then they became warnings. Bright notices appeared on my mailbox, on my front door, each one listing violations, grass height, driveway usage, exterior compliance. None of it applied to me, but that didn't stop them from documenting it. Then came the invoices, HOA dues, late fees, penalties, each one increasing, each one more aggressive. And I didn't respond, because I knew something she didn't. This wasn't about rules. This was about control, and what she did next is what turned this from annoying into something serious. It arrived in a thicker envelope, marked clearly, stamped, official. I opened it at the door and saw the words, "Notice of eviction." I paused, read it again, then once more, just to make sure it said what I thought it did. Eviction, filed by the HOA. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because of how far this had gone. They weren't just sending letters anymore. They were taking legal action against someone they had no authority over. That's when everything changed, because eviction isn't just paperwork. It's a process, one that moves forward, whether it's justified or not. And I knew something important. People like Elaine don't stop when they're wrong. They stop when they're forced to. That night, I pulled out everything: the contract, the deed, the survey maps, county records, zoning confirmations, every document connected to the property. I didn't just review them, I organized them carefully. Each page labeled, each section clear, each detail easy to follow, because I knew if this went to court, I wasn't going to argue. I was going to prove. And what happened in that courtroom is what ended everything. The hearing was scheduled 2 weeks later. Small courtroom, quiet, controlled, the kind of place where everything moves deliberately. Elaine was already there when I arrived, seated confidently, her lawyer beside her, a stack of documents in front of them, prepared, organized, certain. She glanced at me briefly, not with anger, not with frustration, but with confidence, like this was already over, like I was just part of the process. I took my seat, calm, because I knew something she didn't. The judge entered. Everyone stood, then sat. The case was called. Her side went first. They spoke clearly, confidently, presented documents, explained violations, outlined their authority, built a case that sounded structured, reasonable, convincing, if you didn't know the full story. Then the judge turned to me. "Your response." I stood up, walked forward, and placed one document on the table. "My contract," I said. "Your Honor, this property is not under HOA jurisdiction." The judge picked it up and started reading, slowly, carefully, line by line. The room went quiet. Elaine shifted slightly. Her lawyer leaned forward, watching, waiting. And the longer the judge read, the more the energy changed. The judge paused, looked up, then looked directly at Elaine's attorney. "Where in this contract," he asked, "does it indicate this property is part of the HOA?" Silence, not hesitation, not confusion. Silence, because there was no answer. The judge leaned back, closed the document, and spoke clearly. "This property is not under HOA authority." That was it. One sentence. Everything they built, gone. The eviction case was dismissed, immediately. No delay, no extension, done. And once that ruling was recorded, everything else followed. Fines, invalid. Notices, void. Authority, gone. Within days, everything changed. No more letters, no more visits, no more pressure. And Elaine, she stepped down, quietly, no announcement, no explanation, just gone. A week later, I walked past my front door. Same house, same property, same place. The difference, this time, no one tried to take it from me.